Hello, welcome back to another episode of Taste of Grace. Today we're going to be making a recipe that I never thought I would make. It's cottage cheese ice cream. I know, don't lose me yet. My whole life, have hated cottage cheese. I really am a texture person. I need a crunch. I don't like stringy things. So, celery, no go. Coconut, no go. Cottage cheese is kind of on the opposite end where it's basically a glob of different mushiness, and I could not eat it. Even in a lasagna, if I noticed that a lasagna was made with cottage cheese instead of ricotta, I just wouldn't eat it. So I've been trying out some new recipes with cottage cheese. I've done a couple different things, and this recipe has been the most startling because I really didn't think I would like it. I was really skeptical of it. I've tried it with Alfredo. I think there was a heat issue with that one. That one didn't turn out very well. I've made dips with it, similar to a Greek yogurt. That one actually turned out pretty well, but this one was the most surprising. So I wanted to share it with you. The reason you would want to do something like a cottage cheese for an ice cream is because it'll have a lower fat content, or at least a lower fat ratio. So one serving size is half a cup, and it has 5 grams of carbs and 13 grams of protein with total of 2.5 grams of fat. So if you're someone like me that loves ice cream and wants to eat it every single day, this is a way to be able to eat it on a more frequent basis without it being loaded with fat and sugar. And the things that we're going to use today besides cottage cheese is peanut butter. Again, I'm a texture person. I like the crunch, so I'm using extra crunchy, but you could use just a regular creamy peanut butter. And then cocoa powder. We've got vanilla extract, maple syrup, and then you can't even see the package because it's nearly empty, but I like dark chocolate. I really like all chocolates, but dark chocolate is probably my favorite. And these are a good, like, it still has a little bit of a tartness, but they're still sweet. They melt pretty well. So I really like these for a lot of different things. And these are going to add, again, another little crunch to the chocolate peanut butter ice cream. And then I've got a tablespoon measuring spoon that one end looks like it has a ton of hard scale on, but the other end looks fine. Of course, a measuring cup, a spatula, and then over here I've got a food processor. So a couple technical things that I want to go over real quick. I have also tried a strawberry and strawberry chocolate cottage cheese, and similar to when we were making the squash casserole and it was adding a lot of moisture to that dish, the strawberry is again bringing some water to the ice cream, and it turned sort of into ice crystals. Like, you could feel the frozen water when you were eating it. It still had a decent taste, but just be aware that if you're wanting something really creamy and rich, you may want to start with like a strawberry jam instead of just adding fresh strawberries, which to me loses the appeal of this simple recipe and it having a healthier aspect and not being completely full of sugar. And lastly, unfortunately, this is something that I really think needs a food processor. I don't think you're going to get away with using a blender for this. If you had a Ninja, might be similar enough, but something about the food processor just creates a more homogeneous blend and it makes a smoother texture, and that's my preference. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So let me get this stuff open so we can start dumping in ingredients. And I don't know if you just noticed that, but I figured out how to use my food processor. I know. All right. So we're going to start with our cottage cheese, and I want this to be smooth and creamy, and so I'm going to blend the liquid ingredients first, or some of the ingredients, and leave out the ingredients that I'm using to give it a little bit of a texture. And I would say, I don't know, I mean, everybody's going to eat however much ice cream they want, but I would say this makes at least 2 servings, maybe not quite 3, maybe 2 heaping servings, but It does, just 1 cup of this cottage cheese really does go a long way. Okay, so there's about a cup of cottage cheese, and I'm just going to dump this in the food processor. Really have to be quiet when I'm doing this and focus because I am prone to spill things everywhere. There's someone outside my window. Okay, and that's all the cottage cheese you need. I don't know if you can tell, but I've made a lot of servings of trying this out because I got a massive thing of container of cottage cheese. Okay, so then I've been eyeballing the maple syrup, to be honest with you, but a lot of the recipes are calling for 1 or 2 tablespoons. I'm just gonna measure it for you, and then also, yeah, I've definitely been doing 2 tablespoons. And I got syrup on my jar. It's going everywhere. It's fine. It's not going to hurt me. I mean, it's not acid or anything. Let's see. Oh, and the serving size is 2 tablespoons, and it's 27 grams of sugar. Luckily, this is going to be spread out into multiple servings. Let me scrape the rest of this syrup in here. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a tablespoon of the cocoa powder. Okay. And if you didn't, I mean, this is basically like a chocolate ice cream with peanut butter swirl, if you will. So that's kind of what we're going for. But if you don't really like chocolate ice cream, you just want like some chocolate chips and peanut butter swirl in there, then you don't have to add the cocoa. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. This really is important. I know it sounds kind of silly to add vanilla into chocolate ice cream, but it's kind of the same concept of adding a salt to a cookie dough or a brownie batter or something. The contrast helps your taste buds. Oh my gosh, this is not going on. Helps your taste buds identify the different flavors. Really, salt should be something that's used to enhance flavors, not be a flavor itself. Okay, then I'm gonna put this over to puree, and here we go. Okay. But I still have like a few clumps of the cottage cheese in there, but for the most part, it is smooth. And I'm going to continue mixing, so I think it's okay if I go ahead and move on at this point. And let me get out a different spatula. Okay. I'm going to do about a half a cup of peanut butter because I love peanut butter. I wouldn't survive without peanut butter. It's what makes my mornings happy. So about half a cup. If you can, spread it out in the food processor, but eventually it should get mixed in pretty well. You know what I just noticed? I'm probably going to jinx myself. My nose isn't itching. I think this is the first cooking video where my nose didn't instantly start itching when I started filming. Amazing. Miracle. Okay, and then I'm just going to do like a handful of these. Again, chocolate. Love it. Okay. And then I'm going to push it back to chop. And here we go. Okay. Don't think that my chocolate chips broke up like they did last time. I'm not sure why. Let's try this. And basically, I know that there's clumps, but it should be the crunch of the peanut butter and the chocolate chip in there. Yeah. Very peanut buttery. Can't decide if I want to add some more maple syrup or not. Let's talk about the flavor profile for a minute. So, on its own, cottage cheese is pretty bland, right? It still tastes like a cheese. No one's fooling us on that. But when you put it into this type of recipe, it tastes similar to a cheesecake filling. And frozen, it reminds me a lot of froyo. So I know we're calling it ice cream. But if you think, oh yes, I have found a healthy ice cream, you're going to be disappointed. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add another tablespoon of this. Who decided this was a good idea? Am I using it wrong? Do you hold it like this? I feel like there's so many other ways that this could have been designed to be easier to use, but no one asked me. Okay. I'm just gonna blend that for a little bit longer to mix that in. And now I'm gonna put it in a container and then it'll go in the freezer. You will want to freeze this for about 4 hours. That's gonna give you sort of a soft serve consistency. Freeze longer if you want that. However, keep in mind that if you were to over freeze this, you have to let it sit on the counter to defrost because you cannot microwave this. It is cheese. Gross. Okay, just kidding. I still don't know how to use my food processor. Come on. Oh, well, that did something. See how talented I am? Got a massive mess. Although it's not as bad as when I bake. When I bake, there's flour everywhere. So you can see, it's almost similar to a pudding consistency. Oops. This actually would probably be something that you could make and then serve with like a graham cracker or a Biscoff cookie, something like that as an appetizer. I don't know if you've ever seen the cookie dips. They're usually packed full of sugar. This would be something similar. I would probably go ahead and chill it at least for a few hours before serving it. And that way the flavors have more time to kind of sit together, mingle. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I'm gonna get there. Yeah, I think I can flip this over. And I'm actually it does help if you kind of smooth this out and get an even, oh, look, there was a kernel of cheese. Smoothing it out will help it freeze more evenly and be finished together at the same time. You can go in and stir it while it's freezing to help it stir faster because it'll freeze from the edges, and you can almost like when you're microwaving and you have to take what's really hot on the edges and put it in the center. It's kind of like that, but you're freezing it, of course. So 4 hours in the freezer. Plan accordingly. It's not that you can't eat it before then, but it's not going to have the same consistency throughout. The 4 hours is going to let you do a full frozen layer. So I hope that this is somewhat helpful for people that are skeptical of things like this. I also was skeptical because cottage cheese was just so gross to me, but I tried it and I was really surprised. So go ahead and venture out a little bit. Try new things, and if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. Give it to your husband or your dog or your mom or anyone that will eat it. Everyone has different tastes, and so again, this is going to be a little tangier than your usual ice cream. Think froyo or cheesecake filling. You could probably even do kind of like a no bake um, pie with these. I think Oreo has a lot of different flavors of the no bake cheesecake stuff. So honestly, pretty versatile. I'm pretty impressed with the cottage cheese. I've done it with, again, a lot of things, and it kind of helps when you're trying to get different nutrients in your diet. It helps kind of bridge those gaps sometimes when you really want something you're not supposed to, like ice cream. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time if this will work.